For coming. Just a bit of brief context for you. Obviously we're here to announce Paul Temple as the new head coach of the Wellington Phoenix ALeague women's side in the Liberty ALeague. Just a bit of context setting. Rob Morrison, our chairman, would be here, but he was in Adelaide for the game on Friday night and hasn't been able to make it back. We did want to do this on Monday, so the chairman could be here, but Paul is on a OFC Pro license and they wouldn't release him Monday morning to make the announcement, so we've had to bring it forward to today so that we can get on. And part of the reason of us wanting to announce it this week is that we want to give Paul as much time as possible to pull his team together, the support staff that he wants, and also to get on and get cracking with signing players for next year as well. So there's a lot of work to be done and we don't want to waste any time. As a club, we're looking into how we can build out the women's program this year into a bigger program, how we can have the players in camp for longer, how we can manage those players, sign the players earlier, and so that's all the stuff that Paul has to work on. Just a quick note on Natalie Lawrence. So we obviously thank Natalie for her contribution to the club. We're a big fan of Natalie and Gemma Lewis, our first year coach. We think they're the future of football, women's football, female coaching in this country. We'd love to see more female coaches come through. We'd love to see them in our academy. That's obviously where Paul's come from. That's where a lot of the support staff ultimately will probably end up coming from. And we want those people in our academy, and we want them developing as we develop the players and come through. Hence why we're here at Fraser Park. So Paul's the academy director here at Fraser Park. He's come through, he's obviously led that very, very successful academy program. There'll be no doubt a lot of future football players in the women's space coming through our academy program and support staff as well, hence the reason to do it here. And of course, Paul's coaching our women's reserves team at midday here. So it's a nice coincidence and it's a nice way to do it here to announce Paul here at Fraser Park. Kevin, do you want to make any comment?
I'll let you guys start.
All right. Congratulations, Paul. I guess first of all, how does it feel to be the women's Phoenix coach?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's obviously a real honour for me to do that, to step into this role. I've been at the club for 7 years now, so I feel a real part of it and connected to the Phoenix. You know, I love the Phoenix, love the club, so to be able to step into this role is a real privilege, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Natalie left not long ago, so how quickly did you have to make a decision before today?
Yeah, it's been a pretty quick weekend, and yeah, things have moved fast, but I guess that's the advantage of internal appointments. I know the club and everybody, and the club know me, so we're able to work through that pretty quickly. It's
a pretty big year for women's football in this country. I guess why you? What do you bring to the table that is going to transform this women's team and women's football?
Yeah, I think it's a really exciting year, as you say, for the country with the Women's World Cup being here. We've got this new generation of female players coming through the system, and it's been great to see them, some of those through the academy, and a few of them are playing out there this morning. So, you know, I feel that I've got technical abilities that can help grow the quality of young players coming through the country. I know about youth development and bringing young players through, so we'll continue that with our academy in the women's space. And it's a young playing group, so they still need to be developed and still need to improve. So yeah, it's kind of piecing it all together, I guess, and trying to take this team forward to the next level.
The team's progressively been improving, but still finishing bottom of the table. I guess how do you take them to the next level moving forward?
Yeah, look, recruitment is definitely going to be a key part of that. I think Gemma and Nat have laid some really good foundations, and particularly from a cultural point of view, the girls are hardworking, they're humble, and they want to improve. So we can take that foundation, and we've got to try and bring some players into the club that can help us go to the next level, and we're ambitious to do that, and we want to try and push towards making playoffs. So the recruitment part's going to be key, and so it's good that there's a long lead into the season, and we've got time to get ourselves ready for that.
Yeah, a few questions from Phil Rolo. For you, Paul, how many changes will you need to make to the squad, do you think, in order to achieve the goal of making the finals?
It's hard to say how many exactly. but it's clear that the teams that have goal scorers are the teams that get through to the playoffs and the finals. So being more of an attacking threat and scoring more goals is a key part of our recruitment strategy, and so we'll definitely be looking to bring in some attacking players to add to what we've got. But the whole process will be to speak to the current group first and then start making some decisions on where we need players to kind of add to the squad and to build it from there.
Yeah, I assume that will start now, talking to players?
Definitely we'll start talking to players today, tomorrow, the current playing group over the next sort of 48 hours, and then we'll start moving forward from there.
How much of a whirlwind month is this going to be for you, given you've got obviously this appointment now, you've got your pro licence continuing tomorrow, and then off next Saturday to the Under-20 World Cup with the men?
Yep, that's why I wanted to be a football coach. It's really exciting, you know. It's an honour to be able to do those things, like to go to World Cups and represent New Zealand football and get those experiences. And as a coach, those are the things that you want to be doing, working with the top players at the higher end of the game. So I think it makes me a better coach. And when I come back to New Zealand and we start working towards pre-season, I'll be better for those experiences. And yeah, those are the really nice bits of being a coach. So I'm really looking forward to the next month, but I'm very aware that any downtime I have is going to be spent on building this team and talking to players and touching base back here with the staff. So yeah, it's going to be a busy month, but it's good.
You first made a name for yourself in New Zealand anyway, back at the 2008 Under-17 Women's World Cup as its 26-year-old head coach, which I think is still a record. Do you think your career sort of come full circle, coaching women again over the last year or so, and now with this role? Yeah,
to a degree. I think it's nice, you know, to be able to kind of go from the women's game to the men's game, youth development across male and female. But I do think that coaching is much more fluid nowadays. We've seen lots of examples of that in the ALeague and across Australia and New Zealand, where coaches have gone from women's teams to men's teams, national teams to men's ALeague teams. So yeah, it's not unusual anymore. I don't think it's as separate as it used to be, the women's game and the men's game. So for me, it's just coaching at the highest level and working with the best players. And so yeah, I think there's much more examples of that nowadays.
Are there different challenges, you think, or any similarities, challenges from coaching women to coaching men, or vice versa?
There's similarities in that the game's still the same. There's some subtle differences in the tactical side of things, and some subtle differences in, I guess, the player management side of things as well. But that's part of being a good coach, is you've got to be able to adapt to the players you have and the squad that you're building. So yeah, I don't foresee any issues from that perspective. But at the end of the day, it's football, and we've still got the same ambitions, I think, as a club as we would have in the men's, as we would have as the women's team. So I don't think we're treating that any differently, and I'm certainly not. So yeah, that's the plan, is to try and push this team forward and to try and kind of help them grow as a group, and as I said before, you know, add to the squad and recruit some players that can help us go to the next level.
Where will you be looking to recruit? Will we be looking from Kiwis overseas or imports? Or?
Yeah, look, we're still probably got to wait for some decisions around how the squad is allowed to be made up based on rules and regulations. You know, we've had some restrictions the first 2 years around that, so we're just going to clarify a lot of that first, and that will guide us to where we want to go. But look, what I will say is we'll just cast the net as wide as possible. We've got some potential Kiwis to look at that are playing overseas that perhaps we could bring back, or we've got some, you know, import players, visa spots that we could use to try and add some quality to the squad as well. So yeah, the next few months we'll be casting the net far and wide, and the good thing is the best players in the world are coming to our shores in a few months, so that's going to help too.
And what does this mean for your current role with the Academy as Technical Director?
Yeah, so obviously there'll be a little bit of a reshuffle, but I think what the club is proving over the last few appointments is that we've got really good people in our academy, and we're able to kind of see people move up, and so that will be no different in the academy space. We've got really great staff at the moment who are doing a great job, so we'll look to kind of see how that goes over the next few months. Myself and Gilly will work with the current staff, and we'll find the best way to move forward in the academy space. But I've got a lot of faith in the people that are in that academy, and the good work that they're doing will continue.
And Sean and David, for both of you, I suppose, what stood out with Paul in this role?
Gilly, you can take that one.
Yeah, look, we've obviously known Paul for the last 7 years, right? We've worked closely together. He's very thorough, very organised, very meticulous, and also brings a good level of professionalism, which we're really looking to instill further into the women's program as we develop that. So, yeah, he had all the qualities that we like as a club, and we're very pleased to be able to give him the opportunity to take the role.
Because of that, no need to look elsewhere?
No, exactly. He knows, there's a quite a major piece of alignment we're looking to do through the club now. The last 2.5 years with COVID has sort of made that very difficult with not having the first team here and some of the staff in the same city. And now that we're here, and we've obviously had a change with Uffy and we're changed with Nat, it gives us an opportunity really to align the club and to look at how we can do it smarter and better.
And Paul touched on the regs as well, which currently mean you have to sign a certain amount of Australians. Do you know where that's at as far as whether that will be changed for next season?
Yeah, so I think we first brought this up again with APL pre-Christmas to start getting a handle on where it was going to go. I was in Sydney beginning of April at a ALeague Women's Strategy Workshop. We raised it again there, and APL were off speaking with Football Australia. We're about to speak with Football Australia about it again. Followed up again last week with an email to go where we're at, and still no response. So it's a work in progress. We're hopeful that the regulations will be adopted and changed so that we basically can operate like we do in the men's program and sign as many Australian and New Zealand players as we see fit, right? So if we get that across the line, then I think the sort of philosophy is let's look Kiwi and let's look at a couple of inputs.
I guess, David, for you, maybe, why did you not take your time in this announcement? Why did you not wait until maybe a little bit later in the process? What was the rush in getting this over the line?
We wanted to give Paul every opportunity to pull together both the support staff and the players as quickly as possible. We know that our clubs will start talking to players immediately post the end of the season, and the best players will get snapped up. And we're conscious that we've got some very, very good players in our squad, and that those players will be looked at by other clubs. So we want to be able to give Paul, without the authority of a head coach, Paul can't really talk to those people. So we wanted to move pretty quick. We went through a review with Nat at the end of the season, which set the benchmark about the framework about what we were going to do in terms of recruiting the new coach. And then we did a couple of interviews, and like Gilly said, very, very happy with how Paul's strategy and his thinking and where he wanted to go and how he wanted to do it, and it just fit very, very nicely with our strategy of wanting to recruit from internal first, if at all possible.
Yeah, I'd just like to add, it hasn't been a quick process. The last women's game was the 30th of March. 1st of April. So we've started this process pretty much straight away off the back of that. So what's that now, 5-6 weeks? So we've taken our time to actually make sure we get the right fit for the club going forward.
And Paul, have you spoken to the players yet? I guess what was their reaction? I mean, you must know them pretty well as well.
Yeah, look, I think there's been some messages going around the playing group, and I've spoke to one or two of them. I spoke to Lily and Chloe last night as the captains of the group, and just let them know and gave them some, I guess, bit of an overview of what I'm going to do in the next 48 hours. And so, yeah, the task is to kind of speak to everyone in the next few days, especially as we've only at this point got Chloe and Alyssa contracted for this season. So everyone else in the squad's off contract, so I need to kind of get through the players pretty quickly and give them some indication of what's going to happen moving forward. So yeah, that's the first task. Yeah, there's still lots to do, but yeah, it's still kind of early days, I guess. So we'll do that in the next few days and kind of get across the whole group.
And David, just quickly while I've got you, obviously the men didn't make it through the elimination final, but I guess how's that process now with Uffy leaving, and have you been able to have, say, your farewells and he said it's going to take him a while for it all to hit, but do you think it's hit now, that there's a new era starting?
So they're back, today?
Going back at midnight.
They
Yeah.
were right back last night.
Yeah.
And then they'll have tomorrow off, and then they're back in on Tuesday. So Tuesday's our farewell day, and that's when we'll get together as a club and shake hands and wish everyone all the best. Remember, quite a few of the players are returning next year anyway. Quite a few of those have signed, 14 I think. 12 players re-signed already. And then a lot of the support staff will come back as well. So yeah, I mean, obviously the whole club was disappointed with the result. If not the willingness to win, certainly the result, and a little bit of luck. It could have been perhaps different, but I think for me the most disappointing thing it would have been awesome to have that game here in Wellington on the Sunday, for the city and for the fans who've done it really tough over the last couple of years. But sometimes football doesn't follow those storylines sometimes, and now we've had, in the same way that Paul, when we interviewed Chiefy, he bang on as well. And again, an internal appointment is very, very good for us as a club. But more than that, he just nailed it in terms of where we wanted to go, how we wanted the team to be competitively strong, mentally strong, and he's got some plans about how he's going to do that. So we're very, very confident that Chiefy's going to do an excellent job, and we're cracking right back into it. Pre-season for us starts probably Wednesday, and building towards season 23-24.
Tomorrow. Starts tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's big meetings all of tomorrow.